Now we can sleep.
Okay. Is that good?
Yep.
Okay. Jamal Igle interview tape 1.
Great. Okay, now we'll just do one more.
Black really made a huge impression right out of the gate when it debuted. Obviously, it's got a really enticing hook to it. What if only black people had superpowers? And also being in the current climate that we're in, it really, really touched the nerve, I think, with readers. Talk to me about how the book came together and what's it like seeing it really catch a wave, so to speak.
Well, I came into Black very late in the process. Kwanzaa Safajo and Tim Smith, 3 are the creators of this series. They actually created the series over 10 years ago, and they were going to work on it then, but at the time, Kwanzaa was working at DC as an editor, and Tim was working at Marvel and freelancing and doing all this stuff. So I come into this story a couple of years ago. Kwanzaa, who I worked with when he was at DC, he was my editor. And after we had left DC and I had done Molly Danger and had been freelancing for a while, Kwanzaa sends me an email. He's like, I've got this project. Would you be willing to talk to me about it? And he comes over to my house and he shows me the pitch. And it was just a simple, on his phone. And it just said on a red background in black letters, what if only black people had superpowers? And I was just like, done, I'm in. You know, it was just one of those things where...
That's a compelling pitch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the response has been amazing. We did the Kickstarter and we were asking for $30,000 originally. We ended up getting over 90. We got the 30,000 the first 4 days of the campaign and ended up getting over 90 by the end of the campaign. And the response to it was both interesting and telling, actually, because, as many people were excited by the premise and the idea of us working together, and you have, Kari Randolph doing covers, and I think we put together a really good-looking package. But at the same time, you had those people, those dissenters, those people who were accused of, reverse racism and, trying to sow seeds of dissent and just, being uppity, for, whatever.
But you knew that was going to happen.
Oh, I knew immediately.
You knew that a book like this, of this nature, with this type of story, you knew it was going to spark some controversy.
I went into it knowing full well that there was going to be some kind of backlash. It's funny, especially in the political climate that we have right now, that something like this would be seen as controversial. But we look at, we're a very divided nation in general right now. We are divided by race and by sex and by gender identity and by, power and money and influence. And, everybody is looking for their voice. To me, that's what Black became, a physical expression of the things that I already believe in. The ideas that I have about race and politics and gender and, how people try their damnedest to divide us, and to put us in boxes. And I think one of the things that Kwanzaa did really well in writing Black was that he showed that there wasn't just one type of Black person, that there's a giant gulf between, who I am as a Black person and who Kari is as a Black person, or who Tim is as a Black person, or who Kwanzaa himself is as a Black person, or who my sister is. I love my sister, but is a very different, very different person than I am. Just from the even growing up in the same house, we're just very different people, and you have to respect that. You know, you have to respect. You know, in general, you have to be able to respect that.
Well, I guess the obvious follow-up question to the first series of Black is, will there be a series 2?
There will be a series 2. Black was always intended as 3 graphic novels, so there will be news about that very, very soon.
You know, it's interesting. You know, you're right now. You've been working on a book like this, but you've also done a lot of creator-owned work, including one with the coolest 10-year-old superhero ever, Molly Danger.
Yes.
We've had the first book out of Molly, and you kickstarted that. You've had a lot of success with Kickstarter, by the way.
Yes, I have.
When can we see more Molly Danger adventures?
I'm working on the second one. We did the Actionverse crossover, which came out last year, and we've done a few things with Molly in the interim. I'm working on the second book right now. It's taken a little bit longer because of all the other stuff that I've had to get involved in on purpose and by accident. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm really happy with the progress of it.
I mean, your dad, you have a young daughter about the same age as Molly. I'm 99% sure she was the inspiration for Molly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it easy to switch gears and get out of a project like Black, which is such a heavy subject matter, and then get into, you know, an all ages book like Molly Danger?
There definitely had to be a little bit of a decompression period because it is a very different mindset working on Molly. But because Molly is my book and I wrote the script and I know where the story is going, it's easier for me to slip into that mode. Say if I were to finish Black and then suddenly go and do, you know, My Little Pony. You know, it's a complete, you know, but I mean, ultimately they follow the same path because they're
both good crossover.
That's true. That's very true. But they follow the same path. I mean, they're both superhero stories, but one is geared more towards a wider audience than I think Black is. It's interesting. One of my neighbors actually bought a copy of Black. And I asked him if he liked it. He said, the artwork was beautiful, but it's so brutal. I just can't get into the violence. And, you know, we want it to be jarring. We want it to be shocking. But I wouldn't do that with Molly because that's just not who she is as a character. And that's not the story that I'm trying to tell with her.
The Black Panther's coming out in February. How big a deal is the Black Panther movie? Not just for Black comic creators, but culturally.
Right.
Because there's a lot riding on it. There's a lot at stake here, you know. It's the first Marvel movie to be headlined by a black superhero,
right?
And the Black Panther was the first black superhero. So, you know, historically, there's a lot in his shoulders,
right?
And there seems to be a lot riding on this film.
I think it's really important, but it also goes to the larger context of, you know, having those images in the public, you know, having a hero for young black kids to look up to. Like the last Marvel-related, you know, superhero, for lack of a better term, that had his own film was Blade. You know, and it's been what, like 15 years since
at least, yeah,
last Blade movie. So, you know, having a character like T'Challa on screen, someone noble, regal, powerful, you know, the king of his nation, you know, with resources and money and nice clothes, and, you know, it gives, you know, in a lot of ways, it's going to give, you know, little black kids their own Bruce Wayne, you know, for lack, you know, as a comparison.
That's a great comparison,
I think, and for, you know, black creators as well, I think it's really, really important, because if the Black Panther movie does well, then there's going to be a lot of studios that are going to be looking at properties that they wouldn't have looked at before, because they're going to see there's an audience. You know, they need
Black.
Exactly. Black has an option deal. You know, if Black Panther does well, you know, somebody's going to say, let's do this. Let's get this movie greenlit. Let's go.
Well, good luck with that, Jamal. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.